Oh dear, oh dear. I remember when the Acolyte trailer came out, and I thought to myself, wow, this looks like the biggest pile of dog shit ever. And then there were people saying, how can you slag it off when you haven't even watched it yet? So I decided to give the Acolyte a try. I decided to dispel any preconceived notions of how bad this show might be. In fact, I really wanted it to be good. I actually like to be proved wrong, but this show defied expectation. It was actually worse than the trailer suggested. It didn't even get the basics right. Apparently, the budget of this show was $180 million. Well, where did all the money go? Because it certainly didn't go on top-notch makeup, special effects, or any decent acting talent. Everything in this show felt very small and confined. Never once when I watched it was I immersed in a sprawling galaxy with a multitude of different races and planets. I can only assume the money has gone on therapy sessions to blot out the screams of budding young actresses. So, Leslie, you think if you make a really crap Star Wars show, you won't wake up in the dark ever again, to that awful screaming of the actresses? Everything went wrong pretty much from the first minute of episode 1, when a masked assassin walks into a bar and challenges Carrie-Anne Moss to a bit of Wing Chun.
I have an unidentified Force user.
What in the flying fuck is an unauthorized Force user? In A New Hope, Obi-Wan describes the Force as an energy field created by all living things. So does this mean that everyone is an unauthorized Force user? Oh dear, oh dear. Finally, after some more dodgy Wing Chun, the masked assassin finally gets the better of Trinity by using some sneaky tactics straight out of the Terrence Stamp playbook.
He actually cares for these Earth people.
Like pets.
We are then whisked to a space station where a woman named Osha is working in a really dangerous job, we are constantly told. So she must be really, really brave. Anyway, Osha looks exactly the same as the bad girl we just saw kill Trinity at the bar. Are they the same person, or are they different people? The mystery is killing me at this point. Anyway, 2 Jedi Knights turn up at the space station and accuse Osha of murder. I don't know what's going on with this girl, but she looks like Bambi with a sexually transmitted disease. As for this guy, he seems to be doing some feeble Mr. Spock impression, just without the talent of Leonard Nimoy. And also without any of the witty or clever writing in the show. Star Trek made a joke out of Spock's lack of personality through witty back-and-forth banter with McCoy and Kirk. But the Acolyte can't fathom anything close to that. Instead, we get this.
Put your clothes on.
I thank God I wore my corset because I think my sides have split.
Honestly, this guy has a look on his face like he's just permanently farted and is giving it a nice sniff and enjoying the exotic aromas. Honestly, here's a picture of a wooden chair with a sheet on it. I'm sure you'll agree that it's a far more engaging and interesting depiction of a Jedi. I can't be bothered to look up this guy's name, so I'm just going to call him Poor Man Spock. Anyway, Osha is identified as Trinity's killer by the bar owner, and she's swiftly arrested. It's a fair cop, governor. Then she's stuck on a prison transport ship back to Jedi Land. So, let me get this straight. She's accused of killing a pretty unkillable Jedi Master, so she must have some pretty badass skills. You'd think, given that, they would stick her in a pretty inescapable situation with lots of security. But no. They put her on a ship with one guard, which is a droid made out of toilet roll, and some ship pilots who double as chairs. I'm guessing the Jedi back in the olden days were a bit dense. Anyway, she doesn't need to bother escaping because some random no-hopers with brains in their backsides decide to do it for her. One thing leads to another and her ship crashes. Is she dead? Fuck, I hope so. Then we go to a Jedi planet where Jedi are doing Jedi things. This is where we meet the rest of our Jedi heroes, who are about as interesting as paint that has already dried. Firstly, we are introduced to the guy from Squid Game. I really feel sorry for this dude. He was pretty good in Squid Game, and he must have thought it would push him into bigger and better things. Great things in Hollywood were calling. Well, I feel for him, because this is a career ender. But, if I'm being honest, he brought it on himself, because he should have got out when he read the script. Even if he had signed up and could be sued for millions, it would have been worth it. If there's one consolation, at least it means he can now say he's done some charity work.
I work with retards.
One thing that struck me about the Acolyte is how bad the makeup effects are. This girl looks like she's hobbling her way back from a 50-man orgy at Burning Man festival. This woman looks like she fell asleep and her kids mistook her head for a colouring-in book. Anyway, so our collection of pound shop Jedi Masters go off to find our brave female lead, who unfortunately is not dead. She wakes up in her crashed spaceship and then starts having visions or hallucinations about her twin sister, who she believed was dead. So, it turns out Osha was not the person who killed Trinity in the cantina. So that means there are two girls who look the same?
I am Jack's complete lack of surprise.
I can't think of any TV show or film that's done something so groundbreakingly different. Anyway, after episode 1, there's the unfortunate matter of episode 2. To be honest, not a lot really happens, but what does happen is really fucking stupid. So our evil girl boss, May, is now after her second victim. She breaks into a Jedi temple and confronts a Jedi Master named Torbin. I don't know what's happened to this guy. He looks like he's got Play-Doh stuck to his face, which I assume are supposed to be scars. And the less said about that receding hairline wig, the better. I say it once again, where did the money go on this show? Apparently this Torbin dude has been hanging in the air surrounded by an impenetrable force field for the last 10 years. This means that May's stupid kung fu and knife throwing is completely ineffective. Let's forget about the stupidity of a Jedi floating in the air for a minute. But does this guy not need to eat, drink, or take a fucking dump? You'd think a bloke sitting in the air not doing anything for 10 years would be common knowledge, something that people would talk about. But May seems completely unprepared for this eventuality. Anyway, following her botched assassination attempt, she makes a hasty retreat and runs off to the local drugstore. That's when she meets up with this guy. Anyway, luckily this guy immediately knows how to kill the Jedi and creates a concoction for him to drink. Now, I'm assuming that this guy decided to take over the local drugstore for a specific reason, and I'm assuming that reason was to create this concoction. If that's the case, then why didn't he give it to May in the first place? I suppose it's just one of those mysteries. Anyway, so May quickly returns to Torbin's chamber and says she will tell on him to the Jedi Council for what he did, unless he drinks this concoction. I mean, what makes this shot so irresistible? Is it like when one of your mates passes you a Jaeger bomb on a night out, and there's absolutely no way you can say no? So Torbin decides he's going to do what May asks. But what I don't get is why May didn't threaten him earlier in the episode. Meanwhile, our collection of pound shop Jedi turn up. They've heard that May might be sniffing around and looking for another victim. There doesn't seem to be any urgency that a Jedi killer might be trying to infiltrate the temple. Everyone just seems really chilled. Anyway, they find Torbin's body, and even then, no one seems particularly bothered. He was obviously a bit of a dickhead and not worthy of any mourning or grief. Things went from bad to worse as we suddenly got the scene where one twin tries to pretend to be the other. I mean, what is this? A Lindsay Lohan film for 5-year-olds? One thing I will give this episode, it did finish strong. We got to see a Jedi Wookiee, and at least that's something we can look forward to in later episodes in the series. Now we talk about episode 3. Oh dear, oh dear. Here we're introduced to young Osha and young May, and boy, they're even more fucking annoying than their adult counterparts. I'm calling it now, I don't think either of these kid actors are going to crack the big time. To be fair, with this type of dialogue, they haven't really been given any favours.
How many spice creams are you gonna eat tonight? I think I'll eat at least 4.
To be honest, episode 3 of The Acolyte has to be the worst thing I've had the misfortune to watch. It should come with a health warning. I'm pretty sure parts of my brain started leaking spontaneously from my nostrils. We're introduced to a hippie community of lesbian witches who are apparently massively oppressed and have been forced into hiding at the edge of the galaxy because the Jedi are so mean and scary. These witches are so edgy and cool, they don't even call it the Force. They call it the thread. I mean, what the fuck? Personally, I think they should have called it something more appropriate, like a load of old bollocks. Anyway, apparently this thread is not a power you wield, and then 3 seconds later, there they are, wielding it. But the stupidity doesn't stop there. We get some really cool chanting and some ridiculous interpretive dance.
The power of
Luckily, a group of Jedi turn up and save me before I started vomiting blood. Unfortunately, the relief is short-lived because the stupidity continues. It turns out, back in the olden days, the Jedi are nothing more than a bunch of child kidnappers. Then we get this ridiculous scene where the two sisters agree to fail the Jedi tests so they aren't taken away. I mean, seriously, what is the IQ of the person who wrote this series? Anyway, it turns out that Osha really wants to join the Jedi, so May decides to burn her alive. Firm but fair. And not only that, this fire spreads through what appears to be a very stony cave.
It just seems like a weird place to go on fire.
It's a very weird place to go on fire!
Part 4 of The Acolyte is a fucking masterpiece, purely by virtue of the fact that it's not episode 3. Seriously, nothing happened, which was actually a bit of a relief. The whole episode is basically our two girl bosses traipsing through a jungle. This episode just sums up the problem with The Acolyte. There's just no imagination. This group of Jedi are travelling through this supposedly dangerous forest. They run into the least scary monster bugs ever. Why did they settle on these pathetic creatures? You could have had a scene like in Peter Jackson's King Kong, where the Jedi could have had an epic battle with some big scary ass bugs, but instead we get a dead Wookiee. Well, one piece of good news is at least we know that the Gimp from Pulp Fiction has gotten himself another acting gig. This episode also ends on a really annoying cliffhanger, which is actually doubly annoying because it's the only time anything happens, and I've just sat through half an hour of nothingness to get to this point. For that, I'm going to rate this episode even worse. Okay, so part 5 suddenly feels like I'm watching a different TV show. And it just shows what they could have done with this show if they weren't too busy trying to absolutely destroy what remains of the Star Wars legacy. The lightsaber battles between the Sith and the Jedi are a radical improvement in what we've seen so far. Also, the brutal deaths of Poor Man Spock and Burning Man Orgy Goer were as unexpected as they were welcome. However, the show's creators still could have made it much better. Like, for example, why did they start the episode with Osha waking up, surrounded by corpses and stumbling through the jungle? We can hear the battle, but we can't see it. Why didn't they show the full actual fight? It would have been way better if we had seen each Jedi being splattered one by one. And why was Squid Game guy off somewhere taking a dump? Possibly the worst thing about this episode was when the bugs came and attacked the Sith because he got that small lit up robot stuck to his back. So, these bugs are attracted to light and that's why they attacked him. I guess the bugs forgot they were attracted to light while the full-blown lightsaber battle was raging. But the real crowning turd in the water pipe of this episode has to be the other switcheroo between the sisters. The lightsaber haircut was fucking hilarious. And what I couldn't get my head around was why she thinks this would even work, given that every Jedi in this series has been able to read thoughts and minds. A shit haircut is not likely to fool anyone.
Get out of my head, Jedi.
After part 5, we get part 6, and in my opinion this was the best episode of The Acolyte. I'm going to give this one the best review because nothing happened and it gave me a good chance to get some shut-eye. This was very handy because I needed my energy for episode 7, where they were going to take us back in time, back to the events of what happened on Brendok. This episode is told mainly from the perspective of the 4 Jedi who are stationed on the planet. Torbin is a really sulky little child, and no one has even bothered to tell him why they're on this planet. This is extremely handy because it gives Trinity the opportunity to slowly and painfully spell out the plot. They're looking for something called a variance. Now, in the Star Wars universe, we've always had a multitude of droids, scout probes, but these Jedi, they don't need those. They use metal detectors? In addition, these Jedi must be thick as pig shit. Maybe there's a variance in this little piece of moss rather than the great big fucking compound sat on top of that great big fucking mountain. Eventually the Jedi activate their collective brain cell and decide that that big mining complex on top of the mountain might be worth investigating. Squid Game Guy is worried that the two irritating children might be in danger and wants to rescue them. Torben, the man-child, is on board with this because he's really homesick. This has to be some of the worst character development I've ever seen. They don't even explain why he's so desperate to go home. It makes zero sense. How did this guy even become a Jedi given he's so fucking useless? Anyway, when Squid Game Guy and man-child attempt to rescue the kids, Squid Game Guy ends up killing the girl's mother because for some inexplicable reason she decides to turn herself into a black cloud of scary looking goo. I'm kind of on Team Squid Game Guy here. Is he supposed to be to blame for this situation? Is he supposed to wait until she does something evil? For example, this is exactly what the other witch does when she possesses the Jedi Wookiee. I would suggest Squid Game Guy is actually acting in self-defense. This woman has obviously never been told not to turn yourself into a black cloud of scary goo when someone is holding a lightsaber. I'm sorry, but if you're that much of a fuckwit, you deserve to get splattered. This episode did improve for about 2 minutes. When we get the lightsaber battle between the two Jedi and the possessed Wookiee, there were some bits that were actually really cool here, like using a lightsaber to stop a kill cut. I think this is what's so frustrating about the Acolyte. As with parts of episode 5, there were some glimpses of promise, but it's just so short-lived, and it's not long before we delve back into childish stupidity again. Like how all the witches drop dead when they're forced from the Wookiee's mind. And don't get me started on the scene where Squid Game Guy decides to let one girl die because he can't hold up the whole bridge. How about this? Why not lift up the girls rather than the whole metal structure? Wouldn't that have been easier? Mercifully, the creators of this show limited this series to just 8 episodes. And I was wondering if they could do something in the final episode that would redeem that entire series. A great twist or something we didn't see coming. But no, it's just more of the same. Nonsensical storytelling with characters doing really stupid things for no apparent reason. Osha's descent into the dark side was just ridiculously rushed and predictable. It even made Dany's journey into madness in Game of Thrones look sensible. The whole stop talking thing was corny. I also think the show's creators are actually trying to intimate that the murder of Squid Game Guy was somehow justified. I'm sorry, but I refer to my earlier comment. Her mum was a bloomin' idiot and deserved to die for being completely stupid. I also hated the lazy copy of dialogue from Return of the Jedi. Let's do a comparison of the delivery.
Strike them down, and your journey will be complete.
Strike me down with all of your hatred, and your journey towards the dark side will be complete.
To be honest, it's not really much of a comparison at all. I also laughed out loud when Osha's lightsaber turned red. Does this process really happen that fast? I don't remember that happening to Anakin's lightsaber when he was painting little kids all over the walls, floors and ceiling. Also, what the fuck was going on with the whole memory wipe thing? Why didn't May just go with Quimir and Osha? Wouldn't that have been easier than wiping her memory? And why did they let the Jedi capture her? Obviously, the storytellers were trying to maneuver May into a situation where she'd become a good guy and Osha into the bad guy. This way, they'll end up fighting if there's ever a second series, so we'll get some kind of emotional payoff. It's very transparent, but surely they could have found a better way of separating the twins.
I'll find you. I know you will.
No matter how long it takes, no matter how far, I will find you.
Also, the less said about their annoying rhyme, the better.
All is one. Born as two.
The episode ends with a cheesy as fuck clip of our two Sith Lords holding hands, alluding to a cuddly romance in the future. Given we saw Darth Pelagius earlier in the episode doing suitably evil things such as stroking a rock, why is he stroking a rock exactly? Even my basic mathematics counts 3 Sith Lords now in this series. Now we know that there are always 2, which means that 3 is a crowd in this instance, which means, unfortunately, one of these guys are for the chop. And we know it won't be Osha, and it certainly won't be Darth Pelagius. So bad luck, mate. No doubt, if we're unfortunate enough to get a Series 2, Osha will be manipulated into killing her new boyfriend by Darth Pelagius, thus pushing her even further into the dark side. Hopefully it won't come to that, and there will be no Season 2, and this show is rightfully cancelled for being the pile of excrement it is. The show's creators crammed in a couple of lazy cameos at the end with Darth Pelagius and Yoda just to appeal to hardcore fans, but given how Headland has butchered the Jedi in this series, she'd probably portray Yoda as a drug-dealing pimp who buries little boys under his patio. To be honest, I have no desire to watch that. All in all, The Acolyte is a huge mess with huge plot holes, continuity errors, awful dialogue, and really, really crap acting. For me, it also has nothing to do with Star Wars. It's just utter crap. I put it in the same universe as Rebel Moon. It's in the Wankverse. In fact, it was so bad, I started wishing that Jar Jar Binks would show up. Well, Leslie, have the actresses stopped screaming?